I really think PSA missed the boat here. I think they missed an opportunity to really get some people back on their side. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. Some of you guys are really good about sending me stuff when things pop up, things I may miss from time to time. And I'm going to try to get a lot better at giving those of you credit who send me these things, because they're pretty good. They're really good. So, let's jump over here. All right. So before we jump into this stuff, as you guys know, my brother owns Collect 3D Prints. There he is right there. Good looking guy. He gave away a hobby box a couple weeks ago as a giveaway through his website, collect3dprints.com. The link is in the description. He is back at it again. He is giving away Pokemon product this time. The 25th anniversary. I think there's 3 prizes total. They'll be right here, 1, 2, 3, or on this side, whichever one the editor, my brother, decides to put them in. Every dollar gets you an entry, just like last time. We'll do the giveaway at the end of, I don't exactly remember what day it ends. March 12th. Oh, so we got some time. Okay, we got time. So first place is a 25th anniversary premium collection box. Second place is a 25th anniversary elite trainer box and binder. And then third place is the trainer 10s. I wish I was into Pokemon a lot more. My other brother is. But anyway, like we said, every dollar gets you 1 entry. Hit the link in the description. Buy up as much as you can to get you as many entries as possible. Give you the best chance of winning either one of these. You got 3 chances to win. So hit that link. PSA's website and how they're handling the Marx Cards situation. Now, if you haven't not familiar with the situation, I did a video. I'll link it up at the top. And we'll kind of go from there. But essentially what happened is Marx Cards was a group submitter. They submitted a ton of cards through to PSA for grading. They were a PSA a preferred group submitter, and they submitted thousands upon thousands of cards. We'll get to some numbers here in a second. And as you know, PSA doesn't charge you up front, and they charge you whenever the cards get graded, and you get a bill, essentially. And then you have to pay the bill, and then they send you the cards back. Well, the bill came due, and the chickens came home to roost, and Marx Cards had no money to pay this bill. And so thousands upon actually hundreds of people were left in the dark, and probably thousands of people actually were left in the dark. They could not get their cards back because they had paid Marx Cards. They had already paid Marx Cards. They had already paid everything. They were expecting to get their cards back, but Marx Cards had done something else with the money, and they didn't have the money to pay PSA, so they couldn't get their cards back. And then Marx Cards files bankruptcy. Okay, they file bankruptcy, and now PSA has all of these cards that they can't do anything with. Now, as it is in bankruptcy proceedings, all of the assets named within the bankruptcy filings are now part of a bankruptcy estate. Pretty much anything that Marx Cards owned as an asset goes into this bankruptcy estate that then gets sold off in order to pay creditors. Okay, in this case, PSA is probably the largest creditor named in this bankruptcy, but PSA is essentially trying to petition to the courts to say, you cannot put these cards as assets in the estate that is going to be sold off to pay back the creditors, because these cards technically don't belong to Marx Cards. Marx Cards was simply a custodian of these cards. They were just a middleman for these cards. They do not belong to Marx Cards. So PSA has petitioned this to the court. And PSA is saying, because these cards don't belong to them, you can't name them in the estate They belong to the people whose cards that these people, that hired Marx Cards to be a custodian of their cards. So that ruling is going to be made on March 8th as to whether or not the court agrees that these cards do not belong to Marx Cards, that they do in fact belong to their respective owners, and that Marx Cards was simply a custodian providing a service. Okay, so that kind of sets the stage. Now, if the ruling goes in favor of PSA, where they agree with PSA, and they say, you know what, you're right, PSA, these cards do not belong to Marx Cards, and therefore they can be returned back to their customers, the original owners of these cards. PSA is now holding on to close to 50,000 cards that are spread out over 600 separate orders. So as we're looking at this, 600 separate orders, all at various stages of grading and processing. Now, this it's gonna set off a bunch of questions, and so PSA has put together this website, psacards.com/marxcardsfaqs, or frequently asked questions, and it's got a handful of things in here. Does PSA have my cards? And they're saying yes, potentially, but if you know your PSA order, you can search it here, and we'll tell you if we have it or not. What does the Marx Cards documentation contain? Now, they're saying that Marx Cards provided them a 62-page scanned PDF that contains the PSA submission numbers, the customer's names and or social media address. So basically, Marx Cards handed over to PSA the list of orders. And that's how you'll be able to contact PSA. And if you're on that list, then they'll find your order, and then they'll tell you what's going on with your cards. So to verify ownership and prepare returns, we will be relying on verifiable customer documentation. Well, what does that mean? Verifiable customer documentation is going to include your full name, your mailing address, your driver's license, any invoice or receipt that you may have for Marx Cards, your PSA submission number, and a list of your submitted cards. Can I see the documentation that they provided? And it says, no, you cannot, because it has the mailing address of other people. PSA has publicly stated that, will PSA return my cards, is another frequently asked question. It says, PSA has publicly stated that our intent is to return the cards graded for customers who submitted directly with Marx Cards, provided their account is in good standings. That is going to be very important. I want you to remember that, write it down, put it in a book, because that is my problem with PSA and this whole situation. How do I know if my account is blocked? Now, remember, we're not talking about Marx Cards account. We know that's not in good standings. Your own personal account. Okay? How do I know if it's in good standings? You can check on the website, yada, 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 or you can call customer service, right? That's what it's saying. Will I have to pay to get my cards back graded? Okay. Here's where it gets good. It says, this is an extraordinary situation. PSA will not be charging the original grading fees, provided that the following is true. This is where they start getting into some asterisks. Okay. This is where it starts getting interesting. The cards were submitted to Marx Cards directly through another submitter. Okay. Remember, card collector 2 scenario. Okay. Through another submitter whose account is in good standings with PSA. So if you fall under that same scenario where you submitted to a submitter and that submitter submitted through Marx Cards, okay, but then that submitter also submitted directly to PSA and they are currently in the same situation where they can't pay PSA and their account is not in good standings, you're screwed. You get nothing, sir, okay? You have proof that you submitted to, okay, you pay the applicable return fees, okay, that will be required for each individual order. So if you want your cards back, you got to pay shipping. Unless a personal FedEx account is provided, shipping fees are based on the number of cards and values, yada, yada, yada. Keep in mind that per our terms and conditions, all orders are subject to result review at the end of the grading process to ensure that all cards were submitted under the appropriate service level and the corresponding fees. As a result, the additions and fees may apply, and result in review demonstrates a higher service level than PSA standard. So basically, you're going to get overcharged, right? So if you submitted a card and it was worth $50, but it went all the way up to $50,000, well, you're going to pay the $50,000 level. And if you can't pay it, don't know what to tell you. And then this is asking about what does review mean, blah, 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 blah. And then it says, what if I submitted through Gem Gems Only Sports Cards, another submitter whose PSA account is not in good standings. There are two options for these customers. If you wish to have your cards returned, they'll return them back to you. If you wish to not pay and simply want your cards back, they'll send them back to you. You got to pay shipping, all that stuff. And then it says, why are these handled differently? Well, the big difference between Marx Cards and Gem Only Sports Cards is that Marx Cards was a preferred group submitter. Gem Only Sports Cards was not. So they're trying to make that distinction there. I submitted our cards. No, let's go. So, okay. So, they won't do local pickup. How long will it take for my cards to get graded? I submitted my cards to Marx Cards a year ago. Why have my cards taken so long to get processed by PSA? Last spring, PSA experienced a massive influx in submissions. It reached its peak in March of 2021. The incoming rate was unsustainable operationally, so PSA was forced to respond by closing its doors. So basically, they're saying that Marx Cards was, during the submission time. It's funny because they actually referenced that peaked in March of 2021. And I think they made some reference to like June. Between most of their current open orders are dated between March and May. Therefore, those orders have been slowly moving through the process along with millions of other cards that we received at that time. Okay, so let's go back to this important part here. Okay. The cards, so will I have to pay to get my cards back? And PSA will not be charging the original fees provided that the following are true. The cards were submitted through Marx Cards directly or through another submitter whose account is in good standing. So as I said, if you submitted through a submitter that submitted through Marx Cards, we know Marx Cards is not in good standings, but if that middleman submitter is not in good standings either, then you have to pay for those cards. Because it's no longer a situation of the middle of Marx Cards, it's a middleman situation. Which is why I think what Ryan from Card Collector 2, what he did at this point becomes much more chivalrous, I guess, if you want to call it, right? Where he's saying, hey, I screwed up. I'm going to go get your cards back. Okay. And the fact that they filed bankruptcy is now going to be even worse for them. But it just makes them look a little bit that much better because, they went and got their customers their cards back. Okay. Or your personal PSA account is in good standings. So if you submitted through Marx Cards and then somehow went and got your own account and then you became bad standings with PSA, you got to pay for the cards again. I think that's pretty crappy. Because at that point, it wasn't you that was doing business with them. It wasn't the middleman that was doing business with them. It was Marx Cards that was doing business with PSA. The account, the standing account should have nothing to do with it. And your own personal account should have nothing to do with it either. I think that's total BS. I think that's total BS. Your personal account shouldn't have anything to do with Marx Cards account, which is in bad standing. I think it's crazy. The other thing too is that they're kind of kicking you in the nuts again because they're going to make you pay for any fees that were incorrect. You figured that if there was any time for PSA to not overcharge you because your card was worth more, it would be now to take care of people, to help people out. They're already going through a bunch of crap as it is. And then you're going to kick them in the nuts afterwards and go, oh, hey, by the way, listen, that John Morant that you submitted, it turned out that it was worth $1,000, not $200 because we've held on to your card for over a year and he's been doing really well and his card prices are going up. You owe us $25. An additional $25. It's insane, man. So anyway. I don't know. I don't know what. I really don't know why that they're making this a lot harder. You figured they would just, help people out and say, hey, if you can prove that you were on Marx Cards order list, send us that proof, and we'll get your cards graded and get them sent to you as soon as possible, or we'll change the information in the system to reflect that it's not Marx Cards order, that it's Billy Joe's order, right? Because that should be easy to do. for them. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some sorting and all that stuff. But hey, man, it's kind of the, price of doing business. The price of being a big dog is, taking care of people. I just don't think they did a good job here. I don't know. I think it's cool that they're taking care of the people, but there's a lot of caveats here. And there's a lot of like little nooks and crannies where they can get you, They're going to tax you for another. I just kind of feel like this all feels very like nickel and dimey to me, that they're doing this. Oh, we'll still overcharge you, or we'll still backcharge you if you pick the wrong submission level, and you're still going to pay shipping. And with shipping, I'm not too mad about. I mean, they still got to pay shipping, but we're still going to, hey, you got to be in good standings, and the company that you submitted through Marx Cards with has to be in good standings too. So, it's almost like they're trying to, like really nitpick who they're going to take care of and who they're not, in an effort to try to save as much money as they can. I think down here at the bottom somewhere it said that they're going to be out almost $800,000 in submission fees is what they're going to be going after Marx Cards for. Where is it? Close to 800,000, I think I saw. Where is it? I know I saw it somewhere. Anyway, I saw somewhere it was close to 800K in submission fees that Marx Cards was on the hook for. Anyway, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think down at the bottom in the comments. I hope none of you got caught up in this mess. If you did, it sucks, man. But if you are in this mess, let me know how it's going for you and how it's working out and all that stuff. Is PSA taking care of you? I hope not, but anyway. All right, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Love y'all. Peace.